Yo, what's up everybody? This is Junior Chicken here. With Sun and Moon coming just around the corner in less than a week, I am very hyped for the game. And honestly, I have not made a lot of content about Pokemon Sun and Moon because I've been very busy and all that, but now's my time to give you my opinions on all the news that has been dropped and all the cool features and Pokemon that have been revealed. Because it really looks like the Pokemon Sun and Moon are going to be taking a different approach than usual. When X and Y was revealed, the only big difference was the Mega Evolutions. However, here, it looks like they're definitely changing the formula quite a bit. Now, first up with the starters, my favorite starter by far is the Rowlet line. Rowlet is a cute little owl, and then you got Dartrix, who throws the darts around and has that really cool hair look and just looks cool altogether. Then you have Decidueye, who looks like freaking Robin Hood. He loses the flying type for Ghost, which is okay because grass doesn't really take much damage from ground attacks anyways. Decidueye looks freaking awesome, and I can't wait to play as him. I'm okay with Litten, the Litten line. You know, Torracat doesn't look too much different from Litten, and Incineroar looks like a complete brute. And I originally was going to pick the Popplio line because it got a lot of flack in the beginning, but Rowlet's line appeals to me more now. And don't get me wrong, Brionne is quite a pretty looking Pokemon, adding the dress to the sea lion and continuing with the circus performing sea lion trope. And then it evolves into Primarina, which is like a mermaid sea lion hybrid, and it's very elegant looking. I prefer Decidueye over both Incineroar and Primarina. So, yeah, you're definitely going to see me pick Rowlet as my starter. I also find the legendaries to be very weird. For the mascots of Pokemon Sun and Moon, their types don't really match up that well. Solgaleo has a typing of Steel in Psychic. No Fire. In fact, it's weak to Fire because of its typing. And then you have Lunala, which is Psychic Ghost. Not as confusing, but I still think that Fairy or Dark would be more fitting type for it to have. And of course, it's weak to Dark because of its Ghost typing. They've also kind of recycled abilities. So Galio has Clear Body but with a different name, and then Lunala has Multiscale but with a different name. It's also nice to see that they are going to follow up with the Zygarde plotline. I don't know how exactly it's going to be implemented in the games. I know that I think both Zygarde 10% and 50% have a new ability called Power Construct. When they go below 50%, they turn to Complete Zygarde, or Perfect Zygarde, whatever you want to call it. Zygarde 10% has 1,000 arrows and 1,000 waves, 2 signature moves that are ground type, and then they have Core Enforcer, I think it's called, which is basically an energy beam that carves a Z into the ground, like the Zoro logo. And then we have Magearna, the mythical Pokemon that we saw before the games were released. It's a Steel Fairy type with the Soul Heart ability, which I think it increases its special attack whenever a Pokemon is knocked out. And then they have Guardian Deities for each island. And what I like about these Pokemon is that they have a terrain generating ability. I feel like this is good because this will possibly open the door for terrain-based teams to be used in competitive play. You got Tapu Koko, who generates electric terrain, Tapu Bulu, who generates grassy terrain, Tapu Lele, who generates psychic terrain, which is new, Tapu Fini, who generates misty terrain. The strange thing is, each one of them has the fairy typing. The one that generates the misty terrain that benefits all of them has a primary type of water, that being Tapu Fini. I would like to see terrain-based teams become a thing in the competitive game, and definitely see how these Guardian Deities can help set up these kind of teams. Now for some of the Pokemon I really like. I'm a fan of quite a few of the fighting types that we have right now. Beware is a pretty cool Pokemon. He can freaking hug trees and snap them in half. That, by the way, is pretty damn scary. Then you got Crab Brawler, who's just pure fighting type and doesn't have a water type. And as well as the Dragon line for Jagmo. He starts off as normal dragon, then becomes fighting dragon with Hakamowo and Kamoo. I really like Minior. It's like a meteorite-based Pokemon that can shed its skin and show its inner core, which can be different colored, just like the Flabébé line forms. There's also Vikavolt, which is an electric bug type, which will come from probably the early bug types you encounter early in the game. I also kind of like the way that Rockruff evolves into a different Lycanroc form depending on the game you get. I just wish they would have extra types added onto them to further distinguish them, even though their move pools will probably be fairly different. I also remember when they introduced Type Null. Now, I'll be honest, Type Null looked like a pretty ugly Pokemon. But then I saw its evolution in Silvally, and it looks like it's going to be the non-legendary Arceus. It changes its type depending on the item it has, and changes its signature move multi-attack with it, which is kind of strange because Arceus has the multi-type ability. I definitely like to see how Silvally works. There's also Oricorio, a Pokemon that has a different form depending on the island that you're on, and each form embodies some sort of dance form as well as a different type. There's Bele form, which is fire type, Pom-Pom form, which is electric type, Payu form, which is psychic type, and Sensu, which is ghost type. And they have an ability called Dancer, which is a really interesting ability because it copies an opponent's dance move. So if they use Dragon Dance, Swords Dance, Quiver Dance, or any other move that has dance in it, then Oricorio will copy that and boost its stats along with the opponent. And then there's the Sandcastle and Sandpile Pokemon, those being Sandygas and Palisand. Now, they got kind of a bit of flack when they came out, but I actually am really interested in them because they're Ghost Ground type. And they got an ability called Water Compaction, which actually increases their defense when they get hit by a water attack, which gets rid of one of their weaknesses. However, the most interesting out of all of them, I think, are the two Primate Pokemon that are exclusive to each version. For Pokemon Sun, you get Passimian, a fighting type that really seems to have some inspiration from Rugby, especially with its design, the way it's standing holding its melon. It also has a really cool ability called Receiver that really works in double battles. Basically what Receiver does is when an ally gets knocked out in a double battle, Receiver will adapt to that ability and give it to Passimian. So Passimian now has its ally's ability, which is pretty awesome. And then Pokemon Moon, you have Oranguru, a normal psychic type that can have the telepathy ability, and has a really cool move called Instruct. Basically, it's probably going to have fairly low priority, but in double battles, Instruct basically allows the allied Pokemon to repeat its move. It can reuse the move it just used on that turn, which can be very useful in double battles, especially if it's a super effective spread move, because then Oranguru's telepathy ability will just dodge it. And then we had something that we thought would be replacing Mega Evolutions, that being the Alolan forms. And man, there are only 13 of them, and I hope there are more. They're mainly for the first generation of Pokemon, basically adapting to the climates and environments and all the other stuff that goes on in Alola. Meowth and Persian become a little more sassier. You got Sandslash and Sandstrew basically becoming an Igloo and Sanic and getting the Ice Steel type for a change. Then you have Vulpix and Ninetales who are also Ice type, and Ninetales also is Ice Fairy. They've quite changed and become much more beautiful in the Alolan environment. Alolan Executor's pretty much become a meme factory with how tall it is and the fact that it's a grass dragon type. You have Alolan Marowak, who's a fire and ghost type, paying homage to Generation 1. You got Alolan Rattata and Raticate as normal dark types with much uglier designs. You got Alolan Muck and Grimer, who are poison dark types, and they've got much more green than purple, and Alolan Muck is multicolored and has got some, like, metal spikes in there or something. A lot of the Alolan Pokemon have become the dark type for some reason, but my favorite, by far, is Alolan Raichu. It looks so dang adorable, and looks so cool the way it hovers on its own tail as like a surfboard, and it's an electric psychic type, making it the first of that dual type. So cool, it's also got Surge Surfer, which allows it to boost its speed in electric terrain, which really contributes to my idea of terrain-based competitive teams. I'm definitely going to try and train an Alolan Raichu in these games. It really looks like the journey through Alolan is going to change up quite a bit. Seeing that there are these now trial captains that basically train you to go certain paths and all that throughout the game. There's kahunas, which are basically the rulers of each island. Who knows, they might be the replacement of the Elite Four or the gym leaders and such. And apparently there's going to be these ultra beasts that threaten Alola. Not only do you have a criminal organization to take down, but you got these monsters that you also got to confront. You got your scientific group known as the Aether Foundation, which is supposed to help out Pokemon, I guess, and they got their own kind of artificial island in Alola. And then you got the criminal organization of the game, Team Skull. Now these guys are basically a bunch of thugs that couldn't become trial captains or whatever and were disappointed and they wanted to rebel against the system and all that. And they definitely looked the part as thugs with the bandanas and the kind of street-inspired outfits. There'll definitely be some interesting villains to confront. Another big thing that was introduced for Pokemon Sun and Moon is the Z Crystals and Z moves. Basically, there are going to be Z Crystals for each type, and they basically unlock very powerful moves that you can unleash on your opponent as long as you have a move that matches the Z Crystal that that Pokemon is holding. Yeah, some of them are fairly cool, I guess. I'm really surprised by the Extreme Evo Boost, which is basically Eevee's special move that summons all of its evolutions to power it up and boost all of its stats by 2 stages. So it's basically like the 10% chance you get with Ancient Power, Silver Wind, or Ominous Wind. And thankfully, Mega Evolutions are not completely canned. They are possible in the Alolan games, or Pokemon Sun and Moon. However, there's not going to be a focus on them. They're not going to be used in competitive, and they're probably not going to introduce any new ones either. Who knows? Maybe they'll continue with Mega Evolutions in the next game? And you probably are going to ask me why I haven't played the demo. Mainly because I don't really want to spoil myself with the game. I want to go in with a fresh new start. Because a blind playthrough of the game would be much more satisfying to learn. I don't really give a shit about Ash-Greninja. Look, Greninja's a cool Pokemon, I get it, but it's overrated. And I'll explain why in the future. Yeah, Ash-Greninja is basically just Greninja with a different ability called Better Bonding. If you knock out a Pokemon, it turns into Ash-Greninja, which is more powerful and such, but there's quite a bit more features that are be going on in the game, such as a place you can put your Pokemon in rather than just the PC, a place where you can compete in events, which I guess is going to utilize Street Pass. The possibility that HMs are going to be removed, now you can just summon a Pokemon to help break rocks or surf across the water or even fly on Charizard. Yep, your childhood dreams just could come true in this game. As well as the possibility with Hyper Train to max out all of your Pokemon's EVs and IVs. I'm probably going to pick up Pokemon Sun. I definitely can't wait to go through Alola and see what it has in store for me. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed all my ramblings about my opinions of these games. My next video for sure will be top 10 grass-type Pokemon. I'm working hard on it. I do have other things. I've been pretty busy lately with university, but I'll do my best to get it to you as soon as possible. Also, let's help a brother out, literally. My brother has his own channel now called Luke Ford, where he dives into a lot of ROM hacks stuff. He's made his own ROM hacks and displayed them on the channel. He's talked about different tools you can use for ROM hacking. I think he's even got a review for Super Mario Last Impact in the works, so hopefully you'll get to check that out. So anyways, thanks for watching and I'll see you later.